Hello, join us this week on the latest episode of Loose Linc, as we've got plenty to talk about this week, and we're hoping to hear from you too. As we talk about the COVID-19 vaccination, we talk about the big interview with Meghan and Harry, and we finished on a mum winning an award for designing autistic clothing. All that on tonight's show. Hello, welcome to the show, welcome to Loose Linc. Alongside me, Nicholas Jones, this evening is Anthony Morgan.
Hiya.
Jason Lambert.
Hello.
And the star of Get Loose on a Friday night, Claire Browning-May.
Hello.
Join us as we talk about more than half of Lincolnshire now have had the COVID-19 vaccination. But if you knew a friend that refused to take the vaccination, would you let them into your house? Also, we talk about that big interview that everybody's talking about. It's time to have our say on the Meghan and Harry interview. Find out what we think. And we finish on an award-winning woman that won an award in Grimsby for designing disabled clothing. Find out what we think of that award. All that and a lot more on this week's Loose Linc. Good evening, panel.
Hello.
I've got to tell you, the panel are a bit deflated because we must have tried the recording about 4 times and had to start again. So they're a bit deflated, but we are going to pick them up. Claire Browning-May, aren't you just the star of Loose Linc at the moment? Your interview went really well.
Well, I was amazed because, like I say, I'm not the most confidentest person. And the questions that you answered, you asked, I just answered, and it flew. Yeah, it was good. And
lots of people have commented, so lots of lovely comments of people saying how confident you've become and how they've seen you develop through this. How did you feel when you read some of those messages?
Really lovely, yeah, because like I say, I may appear to be quite confident, but that's just because I work with 3 and 4 year olds. Do you know what I mean? So when I'm at their level, that's good. But deep down, I'm not a confident person. But again, it's like talking to a screen. I'm just talking to 3 young gentlemen here, which is, it's lovely. You don't realise that, how many people are actually watching. So that's good in a way, because your confidence then you can just look at yourself and go, oh yeah, and yeah, I was amazed actually. Well, not amazed, but of how easily I did speak, and it was nice. The comments were really, really good, and it does give you a real confidence boost. Just what one needs.
So our guinea pig turned into a national butterfly, basically. That's what happened. Let's start on last week's polls, as we always do. We are next week, now we're back on poll running, we are next week going to start looking at some of your comments and getting them read out. So please make sure you comment. We are going to start now. We're back up and running with polls. We will start to look into that. So last week's polls were, bear with me, the children's poll that we had about children. Do you think children are asked to grow up too fast? Do you think children are growing up too fast and missing out on childhood? 0% of you said no, and 100% of you said yes. How amazing is that one person thought that children aren't missing out on their childhoods nowadays, which was mind-blowing for me. Second poll, woman's poll. Do you think it's easy to be a woman in the year of 2021? 60% of you said yes, 40% of you said no. And we finish on the poll on, do you think genders are now at an equal in the year of 2021? 20% of you said yes, 80% of you said no. Please keep your votes coming. They are really, really important to our show, and they just make it. So please, it's your show as well as ours. You are the fifth panel member. So please, please comment, like, share, whatever you want to do. If you're interested in becoming part of the Loose Links team, please, please get in touch with one of us, and one of us will interview you. As we move on to our first topic tonight, all controversial topics panel. So get ready for this, because this could be quite an interesting show. As I stated, so this is based in Lincolnshire. There's no given town to this topic. More than half of eligible adults in Lincolnshire have now been given their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccination. They are warning us not to be laid back about this, as Paris goes into a third lockdown, and we are trying our best to make sure that that does not happen in the UK, but we need your help. So my first question to the panel is, what is your personal view on people saying to you, I'm not going to have the vaccination?
Why? That's my personal question to ask. Why? What's their reasoning behind when, you know, this is a pandemic around the world? It's not just, you know, in this country, it's everywhere. And vaccines are around for the whole world. And, you know, you can't go places. Well, you won't be able to, I don't think, be able to go places if you have not got proof that you've had the vaccination. So my first question personally would be, why?
Yeah, I guess everyone's entitled to their own opinion, aren't they? I've got family members who won't have it, and they have been badgered by the NHS quite a bit to have it, and they still won't have it. I can honestly say I didn't want the injection, but I've had it because it's come to the point now you're not going to be able to do anything. You're not going to be able to go on holiday or go anywhere without it. So I had mine Saturday morning and felt lousy yesterday.
But the thing is, why? My question is, and two of you on the panel are parents. When you had your children, you didn't blink an eyelid to think about sending your child to the doctors to have the vaccinations for measles, for stuff like that. I don't understand why it's thinkable that okay, I'm choosing not to have this vaccination. If like, I'm hoping that when it's all rolled out and everything's in, the vaccination becomes part of the child's vaccination in everyday life. But you wouldn't think twice of sending your child to the doctors to have all those vaccinations. So why would you think about, in a world pandemic where millions of people are dying, I'm not going to consider to have this vaccination?
I think the problem is that the vaccination has come out so quick. And, you know, what we had this pandemic now, just over a year, and within 6 months there's a vaccination there. How safe is it? We honestly don't know. And the media don't help either. You hear all these scare stories like Norway reporting the amount of blood clots and how it's affected people. And they say the vaccination covers everything. Well, if they brought vaccination out at the start of the year, and since then we've had the South African strain, the Brazilian strain, how do they know it covers everything? And I think that is the biggest problem. No one can turn around and say, we've been developing this vaccine for 5 years. And in the 5 years we've developed it, we've tested it, and we are quite convinced 99% it's safe. It's not that case, is it? I think the problem is it's come out and within 6 months, right, here you go, we know it's safe, but is it?
But would you be, I'm sort of disagreeing with you really hardly here, I'm finished to get fed, but would you be then happy to be in lockdown for 5 years?
No, I wouldn't. And that's why I've had the injection, because we need to get out of this lockdown. The problem is, though, you can have the injection and it doesn't prevent you from getting COVID. I know people who's had the injection and have still come down with it.
Yeah. Jason, what do you think?
Well, they've been working on a SARS-CoV in vaccination for the past 5 years, haven't they? Since we had the SARS pandemic. So this is why it was only taken 6 months to actually come up with it, because they've been working on it for 5-6 years. I agree they've not tested it to see what the ramifications in long term are, but they have been working on the vaccine for the last 5-6 years since the SARS and the first part of COVID came out. So it's not a 6 month. They've just found a vaccine from nowhere. They have been working on it. I agree with Anthony though that we don't know what the effects are going to be in a year, 2 years time. But I had it way back in February because I'm extremely clinically vulnerable. So I had it early, and I was more than happy. In fact, I walked in the snow to get mine on that weekend when we had all the snow. So I was quite happy to get it, and I don't know anybody in my family who said no. Everybody's had it within my family.
But Claire, would you say would your answer be back? And you can, if I'm putting words in your mouth, tell me no, Nick, that wouldn't be my answer back. But isn't that the case for every vaccine that we have? There's always a possibility of catching whatever we take. There's no immune system for absolutely 100% of catching nothing. So don't you think that's for every vaccine that we take? There's still that.
Yeah. Yes. Is there a statistic though about what age group are not taking it? Is it all ages, or is it sort of more?
I think it's all ages. It's different people at all ages.
Yeah, I just think it's the unknown. Like you say, it's come out. Jason knows that they have been studying this for 5 years, but other people, because I didn't know that, didn't know. So again, like everybody else, in a year, within 6 months, we've got a vaccine for it. But then, like you say, there is then other cases of it, different variants of it. But I just can't understand if it's in the world, and if you don't have the vaccine, then, why are you not having it? Because you then might get it.
Mm.
I
Go on, Claire, go on. Sorry, go on.
No, I've stopped.
Well, the other thing is, as well, is that I was always getting the vaccine. It was no question to me. But I think it really hit home to me when I knew somebody that had died of it, that had caught COVID very, very young. I'm talking about a 13-year-old that had caught COVID, gone into hospital and died. And I think it's almost like any illness that we get into, like cancer, like anything out there that's a terminal illness or caught of an illness or something like that. It doesn't like, I hear about cancer all the time, but it's almost like a story to me, because actually I haven't been affected by cancer in my life yet. And I think that's the very same thing for COVID. I don't think people go, oh my word, actually this is actually big, until something happens in their lives that does that. But that does lead me on to my next question. What do you think when people stand on the street stating this is all made up by government?
How can it be made up? How can you make something that affects the whole of the world and blame it on the government? Yeah. Fair enough, you've got to blame it on someone, but why the government?
No, you can't blame it on the British government in a million years. I think the British government has been quite good over the way they've handled it. Bearing in mind, they've never had to deal with anything like this before. Mistakes will be made, which have happened, and you just pray that they learn from these mistakes. If you're going to blame anyone, then let's start blaming China. Mm. And my big question about that is, why haven't we hit them hard? Why hasn't the rest of the Western world hit China hard with sanctions over this?
That's a difficult one. That's a very difficult one. But the thing is, go on, Anthony. Go on. Sorry.
Is it the new warfare? I cannot believe that this is escape from a military. this is being released on purpose. It's just my opinion. You know.
I think, well, I beg to differ there a little bit.
Well,
and the other thing that I think winds me up when people I saw in Lincoln Town, sorry Lincoln to disown you, to give bad news, but I saw in Lincoln Town a load of police the other day with a table of people stood around saying COVID is a hoax, come and prove me wrong. And my automatic answer to that is, tell me how the government can kill millions of people in hospital. Tell me how that can happen. And if you can prove that to me, if you can prove that government people can get people ill, put in hospital and die, I might start to listen to you. But actually, when people say this is a hoax, this is just walk around a hospital, just see how many people are dying of it. And our numbers are lowering because of the vaccination, but we've still got to be careful. There still are people where we've been told June is a date. Is that I went into Lincoln Town the other day just for a walk, and it was like lockdown had finished. There was just loads of people walking about, and I just think, well, hold on a minute, and then you hear, you don't know if it's fake news or whatever, but then you hear on Facebook and on news, Boris is thinking of extending the lockdown till October, and then you start to think, well, I don't blame him actually, because actually, if we're not going to listen to what he's advising us, what's the flipping point?
Yeah, Boston's no different. All through lockdown, Boston town centre's been packed. And unfortunately, we haven't got the police officers to police it and stop it from happening.
No. And I feel sorry for the police officers at the moment, because there's a lot of pressure on them, isn't there?
But yeah, if lockdown is extended, it would not surprise me at all.
No, it wouldn't be. What do you think, Jason?
I think they're planning on extending the powers for the police and COVID measures, aren't they? They're not looking at the lockdown. He's given us a provisional date of a maybe by the earliest of, and that is with 5 weeks between everything.
Yeah.
And I think the 5 weeks is a good idea because it gives 2 weeks or 3 weeks of data and 2 weeks to analyze that data. Unfortunately, I don't think it's not a problem confined to just one city. Lockdown this time was not really a lockdown because so many places were still open. When we went into it a year ago tomorrow, which is when we started, a year ago tomorrow, it was a full lockdown, and just supermarkets and pharmacies were only the things open. This time, everywhere's been open.
Yeah.
And it's great because you go to supermarkets and like say a year ago, you went in supermarkets, you queued up outside, you went down one aisle, you got to the end of it, you turned around and went down the other aisle. It's a free-for-all this time. You know, so how can you get on top of it if you're not going to do things properly?
It's so difficult.
Lockdown at all.
It is difficult. Can I? It's just reminded me actually. There's some good news that I need to tell you in all of this as well. I'm calling it Project Loose because Project Loose has been 2 projects, and Loose Links has become the most popular. But can I just announce that this month we've been running a year. We've been on the internet for a year this month. So how incredible is that? So thank you to everybody that dedicates their Tuesday night at 9 o'clock to watch us, because we really, really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And let's hope that we can just get bigger and better. So we're always trying to think of ideas. But that moves me on to my next question. Will you be rushing out and going everywhere if we come out of lockdown in June, hugging and going to places where lots of people will be, or will you still be cautious? Let's go to you first, Claire.
Cautious. No, I'm not. I mean, I know I've had vaccine. I'm having lateral flows twice a week. My daughter is, because she's at school. And like I say, my son doesn't even go out. So, and he's had not had his vaccine yet, even though he's eligible, because he's too scared. But, you know, within time, hopefully. And I just think, I know it's not been nice to see family and friends, which I will like to do that. But I'm not rushing around to, you know, go partying and things. I just think hopefully by June the weather's nicer, you know, so you can meet up in the parks and things. But for me, this lockdown has been, because I've still been working, you see, with being in a school. So I have still had contact. So I suppose I've not gone as crazy as a lot of people, because I have seen people. But it'd just be nice, for me, it was nice not running around after the kids as much, because they didn't have any dancing or basketball or things that they were doing, and I would go to work, come back, go out, in, out, in, out, in, out. For me, no, that is just, for me, just thinking, no, take a step back. And I'm not saying I've missed things, of course I've missed things, but I just think, you know, I've managed a year, why not now just gradually do it? Love to go on holiday, but no way am I going abroad yet. You know, it would just be nice to just get out, go out when you can, not being told you can't go out. And if you do, you can only meet one person, you know. So if anything does come about, it would just be nice to think, yeah, I'll do that. But for me, no, I am not. I'll be cautious. I'm not rushing out to get back into it. No, I'm happy.
Anthony, do you think that people are just as anxious about coming out of lockdown as they did about going into lockdown?
Yeah, I think people are, because, like say, it's been, well, like say tomorrow's a year, isn't it, since we went into lockdown. The problem is, my biggest fear is, and I agree with Claire, you've got to be cautious, because if you're not, a month later we're going to be in a fourth lockdown.
Yeah, I agree.
This is the biggest fear of everyone thinking COVID's not going to disappear as we come out of lockdown. It's here to stay.
We've got to learn to live with
that. Is the problem, because people, you imagine when the pub's open, everyone is going to rush to them. I'm dying for a pint, but do I want to be in a pub with 200 people? No.
No. When you can get a £3 bottle of wine at Aldi, why do it? Do it. There are other supermarkets available.
my choir are starting back on the 2nd of June to go back to rehearsals.
Wow.
But then you see, most of my choir are of the 60, 70, 80 bracket. So they'll have all had their 2 vaccines. But we are going, instead of using a rehearsal room, we are going into a church so that we can socially distance everybody.
Yeah.
But basically, they have not sung together for over a year. And a lot of them are lonely older people who have lost their partners, husbands, and live on their own. And this is their one thing that they get out and do. I mean,
I completely understand that. I get that. And it's going to be quite emotional, isn't it?
And that's what he gets out for. He gets out for choir at 93 once a week. So we will make sure that it's safe with the hand sanitizer. The 2 doors of the church will be open to allow the flowing of air through. But we are going back because they want to. And I think from a mental health point of view, it's going to be helpful to them to be able to get back and sing and see people.
100%. This is a really interesting question for me, especially because I don't know my answer, to be honest. So it'd be quite interesting to hear you guys. Will you let people into your home if you know they have refused to take the vaccination?
Yeah.
I'm not putting my family at risk, and if they are friends of mine, then you know they'll know how vulnerable my sort of family is, and I just think you can't do that. You know, if they've not had the vaccine, why then say come round to see you? I mean, I don't know how that will work then with workmen and things like that. You know, do you say to them as they show you your British gas card, have you got your vaccine card? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I don't think they should come into your property if they have not had the vaccine.
I don't think I would. I don't, and that sounds awful, doesn't it? But luckily, my closest people that I hold close have all taken the vaccination and have had no doubt on taking the vaccination and just done it. But I don't know if if I knew somebody that was a friend of mine that said, I'd love to come and see you, Nick, I think one of our first questions to everybody will be that uncomfortable question of, well, actually, have you had the vaccination? How do you feel about it, Anthony?
Yeah. The problem is you can't force people to take the vaccination.
No.
You can't. It's a choice, and it's like any vaccination on the market. You can't be forced to take it. My family members, and it's my mother, I'd let her in my house still. I would. Just by having this injection, the idea of the injection, from what I believe, is it's not going to stop you getting COVID, but it's going to stop you probably dying from it. It is. So, my mother could come in, she could get it, I could still get it. So it's going to be out there, isn't it? It's here to stay. It's not going to go. And my argument, I'm not going to have my mum say, well, if you don't have an injection, you're not coming in my house. At the end of the day, she's my mother.
What about you, Jason? Would you refuse somebody in?
Yes, probably. Because I am under the critically extremely vulnerable, and I have problems with my heart and under respiratory problems as well. I'm more at risk of being seriously ill with it. So yes, I would say to people, have you had it? But in the same vein, I can see other people saying, well, you wouldn't ask me if I'd had the flu jab.
Would you ask for proof though, Claire? Would you? This is my last question on the topic. Would you take word of mouth, or would you ask for proof?
I think as the few people that do come into my house are good friends or their family, and I would take it word of mouth. I wouldn't want, not from family and friends, no. And I just think, if they lie about that, then, that's just a different topic altogether then.
Definitely. Remember, you are the fifth panel member at home. I told you the controversial topics tonight, and my word, have we all got a different opinion. But that does include you guys out there. You are the fifth panel member. So please let us know if you would refuse somebody at your door if they haven't taken the vaccination. If you are one of those people that think it's a hoax and made up by government, have your say as well as ours on that topic. Guys, I'm a bit nervous about moving on to this subject. I think it's been the most nerve-wracking subject that I'm a bit like, my heart's beating like I don't know what. So, Meghan and Harry finally had their say with the interview with Oprah Winfrey and talked their truth. And said some quite controversial things and left the nation shocked, being mixed, left the nation shocked and the nation being mixed feelings about the whole thing. So I'm going to go round because it's not really a conversation. So I'll start with you, Claire. How did you feel about the whole interview?
Well, to start with, going by that Meghan was the first one to be interviewed by Oprah, is that right how you say it? Who's a famous black, I want to say it right, black actress, talk show host, very famous. So, did Oprah go for her or did Meghan choose her? Somebody who could stand by a black person, and because it is, as we go through, it's about race. But we've got to remember as well that Meghan is an actress. So, was it staged? There's a lot of questions to ask. Also, we've only heard one side of the story. And I know it must be so difficult. You're in that limelight. She was an actress. She should have known what that was all about. But also she said that she didn't look Harry up. She didn't know that the royals would be... That just shocked me. Basically, she saw Prince Prince Harry. It's very rare people call him Harry. It's Prince Harry. And yeah, they fell in love. Not about that. But she reckoned, you know, actress, social media, she did not look him up. That was my first views.
Jason, what do you think?
First of all, I think you have to say allegations that she said, not truth, because not all of it's been confirmed as being true. And the one that sticks in my throat was we didn't get married on the 19th. We got married 3 days before. And that's been now proven with the marriage certificate that actually it was a blessing 3 days before with the Archbishop of Canterbury. She actually did get married by the Archbishop on the 19th when we all saw it in the chapel. And I think you just have to be careful with exactly what her allegations are. And I think we have to think, rather than the truth, we have to say the allegations she's made, because we don't know. I think we just have to be careful how we approach it.
Anthony, what do you think?
Well, all I can say is they are very lucky this didn't happen 100 years ago, because they'd have been full of treason. I do not believe a word that comes out of that woman's mouth. I don't. Like Claire said, she never looked Harry up on social media. What a load of tosh. I cannot believe that. She's someone who's got social media accounts. So please, don't tell me she hasn't looked him up. And I really feel for the royal family. They don't deserve this. And like you say, Harry should have known better. He should. It's the biggest money spinning thing going. You know, Oprah, okay, she's a black American talk show host, but she should be a champion for coloured people. She came from nowhere and become a multi-billionaire. And you can't tell me that Oprah believed what Meghan said. It doesn't make sense. There's so many contradictions in it.
But again, it's like they've both come on national television to give that interview, but they'd already moved out of the royal family. They've moved out of the country. Why marry Meghan? Why marry into British society as a monarchy and then move your husband away?
Yeah.
You know, because especially Harry. I mean, I know Harry has a lot of issues because of his mother and all that, but don't you think that he should have sorted that out and probably moved away before, you know? I don't know. Like I say, I just think it's all Meghan, isn't it? And there's no she married into the monarchy, and she's took him away from the monarchy. So they still want all the perks and everything that go with the monarchy. But why? You know, I understand the situation with the son. Okay, that can't be very nice if the allegations about his colour. I mean, that could be devastating for any mother, especially a new mother. But to say that, you know, he would be stripped of title, well, you're not living in this country, and so why should you get all the perks if you're not living in the country? And again, with bodyguards and things like that, they want all the icing on top of the cake, as well as having the ice cream underneath to hold them up. No, you know, you made your bed, lie in it if that's what you want, but it's ruined the monarchy because, like you say, we don't know. It's all allegations, but there's always two sides to the story. So that must be awful for the Queen. And like you say, 100 years ago, off with their heads.
Yeah.
I think it's a bad situation where we've come into with what happened. And I think the Queen's statement where she said she'll deal with it personally in-house, the allegations, I think that's her right to do so. And I think that is the way it should be done. It's the way it's always been done. I don't think there's particularly any.
Well, can I say I completely disagree with all of you? I was utterly shocked at some of the things that she had said. And yes, I completely understand she's an actress, and I completely understand she's just got acting skills and stuff like that. But to talk about mental health and to talk about how she tried so hard in this country, it's not like she just went into the palace and said goodbye. She asked for help. She went forward to the monarchy. She said,
Did she? Do we know that? Again, it's allegations.
It is allegations, but
we don't know that.
Their own doctors. The royal family have their own mental health doctors and their own doctors. So if she actually asked for help, then the doctors and the medical team would have actually seen her.
I cannot believe, after everything that happened with the Diane incident, and that since that's happened, that if Meghan had got mental health issues and she'd asked for help, she'd have got the help. And with how Harry felt about what happened with his mother, I cannot believe he would not have forced her to ask help.
But it's already happened in history, hasn't it? It's already happened with Diana. The same situation. Diana was pushed to the side. Diana wasn't listened to. Diana and another woman has come forward stating the same thing near enough that Diana said, but the whole nation think the monarchy is fantastic. Well, this is two stories now. Two stories that we've heard of devastation and two stories of nearly death. Two stories of nearly death. We lost Diana. We can't comment on Diana's death. We can't say what happened. Again, nobody knows the whole story. But this is a woman, and Harry, my heart went out to him when he was going, this was Harry's words, not Meghan. I'm watching history repeat itself. And I'm not prepared to do that. I'm not prepared to watch history.
She played on that mentality from Harry, from his way his mother was. She played on that, and that's how she got him out of this country.
Yeah. But again, what's been in the media for so long, and as I say, I am not racist by a lot. I've got lots of friends, but Black Lives Matter, you know? So, again, I do feel for her. Again, American actress, black, marries a prince of England. She's going to get some sort of controversy, not from me, but there's people to talk to. There's got to be people to talk to. But as I say, I am just a plain girl at the end of the lane. I have no idea how it works. But I just think, again, she played on Harry's heartstrings with his mother.
Yeah.
Well, only time will tell.
But again,
people are going to be knocked down.
Yeah.
If Harry's still with Meghan in 20 years' time.
Which I hope they are. I hope they do prove us wrong.
Because that's almost like Meghan saying, "Look, I've told the truth."
Yeah.
And then I just feel there's so much hate for Meghan at the moment.
But there isn't there? Because when she first got with Harry, the press loved her. The coverage the press gave her, their wedding day, was out of this world. So you can't say the press hates her.
But imagine if you had to go through that, what she supposedly, yes, again, it's allegations, but imagine if you had to go through what she went through. So she had a passport taken off her, she had a driving licence taken off her, she couldn't leave the palace, she wasn't allowed to see friends or family. Are you telling me that you wouldn't want to escape from that life?
Yeah.
But I'm sure.
I don't believe that's happened.
Oh, see, I do. I
don't.
But you see, again, if you're going in to the royal family, there's got to be something to read to say you can do this, you can't do that. Because there's things that you can't say. You can't say what the Queen wears to bed and things like that. You know, there's got to be a list of things. So she must know this. You know, I'd like to say.
She knew her life was going to change the moment she married Harry. If she didn't want her life to change like it did, then why did she go get married?
Love, of course, love. But there's people. I don't care if my future man that I meet in 10 years' time is somebody high up and I've got to stay quiet and do all this. Harry is still in his right mind to say, no, I'm not doing this. He's got his own mind, he's got his own thoughts. He's not being dragged by Meghan. He's not on a lead by Meghan. He is an independent person that could say at any point, actually, this marriage is over. I can't do this anymore. And he hasn't. And he hasn't because he's in love with her.
Yeah, he is in love with her, but he then still wants everything that comes with the royal family. And I'm not saying you can't have both, but it has, like I say, we as people at the end of the street, we just think that she has taken him. And yes, like you say, at any time, he can say, I'm not going. But they still want everything that comes with it. And I think that's what the public are upset about, is because, you know, they are working. But yeah, let's do whatever they're doing. I can't remember, is it YouTube or something? Let's do, is it? Yeah. You know, let's do that. Well, I thought you wanted, you know, to go and have a quiet life.
What was you shocked with how the palace was supposedly racist?
Yeah, because going back again to Diana, I think the monarchy has changed since that tragic event of '97. I think the monarchy has changed and they've modernised. And you look at Prince William; he's going to be our future king. And just look how down to earth he is, and how he interacts with the public.
There are some points of the interview. I'm not saying completely. I'm completely on Meghan's side. There are some points of the interview where I did think, okay, you're not telling me you didn't do some research. You're not telling me that. You're not telling me that. To be blasé for Meghan, completely blasé for Meghan. I honestly thought, and maybe this is going to make me sound stupid, but I honestly thought the curtsying and the bowing and all of that was just done in front of public. I didn't think for 1 second that Harry would have to go and see his grandma and have a conversation with his grandma and bow before her and stuff like that. So I was shocked about that. I'm not saying that's wrong. Not saying that's wrong at all. What I'm saying is I was shocked to hear that.
Prince Charles has to as well.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we have changed a lot from Diana. I don't think we have learned a thing from Diana, because history has repeated itself in a different way all over again, and it's against a woman. Where was the Queen when Diana died? Where was she? She never came out until she was forced to come out.
That's what I mean. Since then, I think the monarchy has changed a hell of a lot. I do. I think they're more.
I don't think they have. I don't think they've learned a thing, because we've got this now, and it's almost like I almost want to say Meghan could have been an absolute diamond to us, an absolute diamond to our country. A woman, a powerful woman of colour in the royal family. Wow, how. If we treat her in the right way, and yes, again, I know you're going to say allegations, and I completely take that. We haven't heard both sides of the story, but I was a bit ashamed of the royal family when I heard the story, because I just thought, this has happened now twice, and we haven't learned a thing. We haven't done a thing. It's again, we're going down. And yes, I can completely understand when you say to me it's a trigger for Harry for mental health and stuff like that. But two women in his life.
But again, you go back to Diana, we don't know the full truth. And again, you go now to Meghan, we'll never know the full truth. So again, you know, it's just arguments on my side, your side, your side. But again, we're allowed our freedom of speech. We won't know. And yeah, we won't know now if Meghan would have been good for the monarchy because she's took him away and she's not there no more. So
She hasn't took him away.
She has took him away.
They've
gone together.
Yeah, but the thing is, Harry could have said no. Harry could have gone, no, I'm not.
Love conquers all.
From the point of view of him not being given a title, the Queen cannot bestow His Royal Highness on the child of Harry, because only Charles can do that when he becomes king for his grandchildren. The Queen can't do it for her great-grandchildren. You have to go back to George III, I think, so who passed a decree saying that the monarch can only grant her HRH titles or prince titles upon her children or her grandchildren of the future heir to the throne. So therefore she could not grant a prince title upon Archie because that is not within her remit to do so. Charles could do it when he became king, but she cannot grant him a title. So her saying he had no title, they wouldn't give him a title. He had the Earl of Dunbartonshire. That was his title. He had the Earl of Dunbartonshire as his title. She could not grant him a HRH or Prince Archie. She could not do it because of the way the tradition is set down.
Let's breathe. Let's move the interview to the side a little bit. This got me infuriated. So let's see if we all disagree again. Lots of people were saying with the whole, I can't even stand to say his name, honestly, with the whole Piers Morgan thing, that there is no freedom of speech anymore. Do you think this is a right statement? And do you think he did it the right way?
Yeah, we are losing our freedom of speech. And this is the thing I was going to say. The knock-on effect of this is how it's affected other people. And for example, Piers Morgan being sacked by ITV.
Wasn't sacked, he walked out.
Well, yeah, but then they sacked him, didn't they?
No,
I thought
he resigned.
He did.
Before they sacked him. But he resigned.
You know, everyone's entitled to their own opinions, and he gave his opinion. You know, and for everyone to kick up in uproar over it, I can't understand it. I can't. And I think this is the thing, the knock-on effect from this interview is unbelievable. It is. You know, I'm shocked that it still makes headline news. You know, we've got a pandemic going on, and all people want to talk about is Harry and Meghan, the knock-on effect it's had with Piers Morgan, other people as well. It's crazy.
I think their timing of release was quite appalling as well. With Prince Philip in hospital, really quite ill, they could have waited for him to have actually come out and made sure he was okay before that was actually released, I think.
Claire, are you team Piers?
Can't stand the man, but only because, again, when he works with Suzanne on that show, I don't know how she does it. Honestly, I could not have him. But again, like I said, that's him. You know, he's a very outspoken, controversial man. But that was his opinion, and he stood by it. He walked out. He's resigned. So, you know, good on him, but I don't like him.
This is where I slightly disagree.
Oh, you would.
I slightly disagree that he didn't have freedom of speech. And why I disagree on he didn't have freedom of speech, I don't watch Good Morning Britain. If I'm not at work, I'm not up early enough to watch it in the morning. But I did watch the whole interview. I watched the whole interview because I thought, actually, I need to make an opinion on this, on what I actually think. Tell me, in that whole interview, where Piers didn't have his say on freedom of speech, and tell me in that whole interview where Piers listened to other people's opinions. Did he listen to anybody else that was talking round to him, or was he just talking over everybody and going, no, it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong? And it felt very much like a child with fingers in the ears. I'm not listening to you. I'm going to have my say. And actually, and the thing that really reeled him off and made him go, I'm gone, is I was proud of Alex. Because Alex sat there and went, well, actually, you were friends with this woman a couple of years ago. And to be honest, ever since she's like disowned you and doesn't want to talk to you anymore, you slag her off, you do this, you talk over her, you slag her down. And he stormed off because he knew that was a right statement. And he didn't have a comeback for it.
Did you watch the day before, the Monday morning?
No.
They had 4 people on at that point. They had Paul Burrell and a lady who was saying how she believed Meghan and the royal family were racist, and Britain was a racist country towards black people and everything. And she called him a racist 3 times in an interview with him. And he said he's not a racist. And do we think that he's a racist because he doesn't like Meghan? Is that what the route we're going down, Nick? Is that what you think?
Well, what he was saying, what he had, I would have respected him more, and I would have listened to him more if he listened. Like we do on the show, we can have our statements, we can say what we say, but actually we listen to the 3 other panelists that are on the show.
But I'm asking you, do you think he's a racist because he didn't believe Meghan?
No, I don't know. No, not just because of that. No, but if you look back on his interviews, he comes across quite strongly on racism. Quite strongly on racism. And this isn't just the Meghan story. And I just felt like he was a kid throwing out his toys out the pram. Like someone finally had a statement to say to him and say, actually, hold on a minute. You've only started slagging her off because she's not talking to you anymore. You've only started slagging her off because of this, that, and the other. And you could see him on screen getting redder and redder in the face. And he went, no, I'm not having this, and walked off because he had no statement to give back because it was a true statement.
But then again, did anyone ever see on the same programme where they interviewed the American female journalist over Meghan Markle? And she was worse than Piers Morgan.
And that's fine. That's fine. And I hats off if you watch it. I bet she doesn't, but hats off to Trisha Goddard, because I thought she was absolutely incredible in what she said about you can have an opinion on everything, Piers. You can say everything, but you cannot tell people of colour about race. You cannot do it. You do not walk those shoes. You do not walk that pathway. You cannot tell people about she basically said leave the race argument to us, and I thought that was the most powerful statement out of the whole interview, because he was just what really frustrated me is he just wasn't listening to anybody. And
does he? He doesn't listen.
No.
And that's why Suzanne can work with him day to day.
Not a clue. No. I would have long gone. Long gone. But let's leave that there. Wow! I think that's the best topic we've ever had on Loose Links. Hope you enjoyed it. Tell us what you think. Are you team Piers Morgan? Do you think actually he was correct in the statements that he gave? Are you do you believe in Meghan and Harry's interview, or do you think it was all a hoax and Meghan was trying to get into the other side of the world and take him away? Give us your view. The polls will be up, so we'll be looking forward to hearing from you. So our final subject, let's go on to a lighter topic. Let's just finish up with light. Good evening, Grimsby, as we talk about you in a very, very good way. A Lincolnshire mum designs disability clothing for children. A Lincolnshire mum in Grimsby wins an award for designing clothes for children with disabilities such as autism. Do you think, panel, do you think when we talk about disability people still find it a bit alien? Do you think that we need to be taught more in schools and educated more about disability? Let's go over to you, Claire Browning Bay.
Right. Alien, yes. I just think, again, and I can talk about this, I suppose, with like what Tricia said. If you've not been there, seen it, done it, it's really difficult, as in your colour. And again, with disability, if you've not been there and seen it, like I have, because I have a disabled son, it's really difficult to not say give an opinion, because we've all got one, but you've not walked in people's shoes, and it is really hard. And again, saying should it be taught at schools? I think schools are quite good in respect to a lot of things, more so at primary. I think as they go up to secondary, I think they need to educate it more. But again, I think education for that comes from the home. You know, as a parent, my son's dealt with it quite well. We've been in the supermarkets more so when he was a lot younger in his wheelchair, and little children taunting him, you know, why is he in a big push chair, you know, and it really upset him. But I think, again, and I nearly fell out with the parents because they didn't come up to their child and say to them, you know, this, that and the other. And again, so I think it comes from the parents and educating their children about disability.
Do you think, though, Anthony, it's just not talked about enough in our schools today?
Well, I don't know. I don't know, but from my personal opinion, my wife suffers cerebral palsy. So it doesn't faze me seeing disabled people. I'm used to it. I live with it every day. Some days are good, some days are bad. But the one thing that I admire my wife for, she doesn't moan about a disability. She's got it. She's learned to get on with her life. She goes to work every day. She does everything she possibly can. And another credit is her workplace have been fantastic over disability. So yeah, I think it's out there that people do understand it and they do accept it more than, let's say, 20, 30 years ago. I do. All the efforts are there. But like Claire said, everyone can have their opinion, but until you actually live with it yourself and you're in them shoes, it's easy to have an opinion, isn't it?
Jason, being a man in education before, do you think that it needs to be taught more in our schools?
Yes. I mean, I was a secondary school teacher, 11 to 18s, and it's not covered a great deal. It is covered, but it's not as covered as well as it is in primary. My husband works as a reception teacher as junior school, and it isn't covered as much as they cover it, and it does become a little bit more left to the side as you get into secondary. I'm registered disabled from a muscle disease. I've got myotonic dystrophy, which is a muscle wasting disease, and I still worked at school until I had to retire for ill health. But yeah, it's very difficult, and yeah, unless you've walked in those shoes, it is very difficult to understand. But my line managers and head teacher at my school, they didn't understand my disability, and I can understand in a way why they didn't, because it is very rare. Some people in their career may never see a case in their life, and others might see 2 or 3. I had to go to Sheffield Hallam to be diagnosed with my case because nobody knew what it was. So I understand, but I think they need to look at it in a more inclusive way. Obviously, your SENCOs in the secondary school, which is your special educational needs coordinators. As a teacher, you are told exactly what's going on with that child and what they've got and how it will affect them. And in your training, you learn how to deal with autism and reading or writing or mental disability. But you're taught that. But then I think when you go into school, unless you actually can get the SENCO to one side and actually say, this is what we need to cover, we need to educate our children, I think it becomes very difficult to try and cover it as a one. I think you need to get people in to talk about it, older people rather than school children. Get other people in, actually see these people, talk to them, ask questions, get them to present what their difficulty is, and get the children of this generation, next generation, to actually see these people, because they are not second-rate citizens. They are absolutely normal citizens, and this is how our country is. And they need to understand that these people are there and they contribute, and they have a voice that needs to be listened to educate everyone.
Definitely. Claire is a parent of a disabled child, and the judgments and the parents that you said you were quite cross with and stuff like that, if you could say a statement to change people's mind about disability, or what people need to do when they see you maybe with your son, instead of staring, would you be happy if somebody came over and questioned and maybe talked about it?
No, I've had that before. A conversation, as in, I would prefer somebody to come up, and I think my son, it was the same, and he's been good. I mean, like I say, he's nearly 17 now, but when you're a smaller child in a wheelchair, you look cute, don't you? You know, so and then people, little smaller kids, they really don't understand. But as he got older, and if a child would stare or something, you know, if he was on holiday or something, I'd say, tell them, you know, that your legs don't work, you know, and then he would get, because he's not really a confident lad like me, and I'd say to him, you know, speak, and it's best to, you know, talk to the person. And
Do you agree with that, Anthony?
Yeah. Yeah, we've had it a couple of times in the past, because, like I say, my wife with cerebral palsy down the left side of her body, her leg and her arm, we've been on holiday, she's been swimming, and people look at her funny, and she'll tell them, I'm no different to you. I'm a human being. I am.
Do you think disability is not enough on our soap dramas, on our TV screens? Do you think that would help? Claire, let's go to you first.
I think yes, because, you know, especially for children, they don't really, you probably won't see a person with an arm missing, a hand, an arm, a leg, or something like that. And that's why I do think that the Paralympics is fantastic, because you see disabilities of all walks of life, you know, and that's great. But then that's only, is it once every 4 years? But when that is on our telly, you know, the comments that people give to me, like, oh, wow, you know, that they could do this, that and the other. And I say, yeah, my son, he can't physically walk unaided, but what he can do is amazing. And so I think if people were seen more on the TV, you know, in all sorts of disabilities, I mean, blind, you know, everything. I just think the more they're out there, it gives that disabled person more confidence, because one, they'll get work, but also it will give the insight to people, children, adults, that they're human, you know, they're just like everybody else, but okay, they might have a hand missing, an arm missing, their eyes might not work, but their heart does. You know, and that's, I think, is the most thing. If you can't say anything nice, don't say nothing at all.
I think Claire's wrapped that up. Thank you ever so much for tonight's show. It's been absolutely incredible. Thank you for staying in tune with us. It has been an extra long show, but I really couldn't shorten those topics any shorter than I possibly did. So thank you for joining us this evening. Can you applaud my panel for this evening? Because my word, that been Claire, we were literally just talking on Get Loose about the panel need to be more outspoken and we need that. We've done it in one show.
I know.
Literally done it in the next show.
Definitely.
Thank my panel for this evening: Anthony Walker, Jason Lambert, and Claire Browning-May. Make sure you have your say. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you comment on our polls. Write to us. And if you are interested and you've really been fired up by this debate and you really want to come and join our team, there's places available. So please, please get in touch. It's been an incredible show. So thank my panel one more time. Joining me, Nicholas James, was Anthony Walker, Jason Lambert, and Claire Browning-May. See you next week. Take care.
Bye.
See you all soon. Bye-bye.